Hey, ioStux here. I've been getting some feedback on previous coaching sessions that were uploaded, and there were 3 main complaints. First, the coachee was very low rank, 2, the coachee was playing DPS, and 3, can you do a video on Blizzard World? So I figured let's swat 3 flies with 1 swing. So today we are going to do a review of a Grandmaster player who has peaked at 4300 skill rating, but has since dropped into low GM, playing mainly support on the at this time new map Blizzard World. Keep in mind that this map hasn't seen any professional play yet, so my knowledge of it is limited. Everything that I say in this VOD in terms of positioning is just fundamental knowledge of positioning applied to an unfamiliar map. I didn't actually know that I wanted to use this one for a video. I asked the coachee at the end of a session if he was fine with it, so sorry if this one starts kind of in the middle. Dude, what the fuck is... Why is everyone giving me Blizzard World VODs? I'm so confused.
Because it's a new map.
No one knows how to play this map, though. Literally no one has any fucking clue how this map works. No one's scrimming this map either. Why did you decide to send in a VOD of competitive over scrims, by the way? If there's no reason, then that's fine. But if there's a reason,
I didn't have a particular reason.
Okay, no, it's fine. Good. I sent you a link. You know how Visor? I should probably mute myself on the website.
Yeah, I do. I do know how Visor works.
You know. Okay, good. You never know. Okay. So, can you tell me how do you think Ana works? What are you supposed to do here in order to not feed?
Can you put the word? Because it's kind of okay. So to not feed is to what's it called? Be in a position where I'm not alone, basically.
Okay.
So
yeah.
Have Lucio peel.
Okay.
Then to not feed, I'd basically have to hit my nade and my sleep if I get dived.
Okay, yeah. How should you use your nade?
Offensively, if I can.
Okay, good.
Because I will have Lucio heals, so I don't need it for myself.
Good. Okay.
If I want maximum value, I'll hit it on myself and.
Well, yeah, team. Of course, yeah, true. What about nano boost target priority?
For a soldier, or then I don't remember what team comp we had. I think it was Diva Soldier would be the primary ones.
Okay, yeah. Nano boosting soldier is not really that great. Usually, it's very inconsistent. Okay.
Well, with Visor, it's okay, I guess.
It's okay, but again, you don't. It's not that great because here's the thing. Okay. Generally, there are 3 things. Oh God, rip. Generally, there are 3 kind of criteria that you need to look at if you want to figure out who to nano boost. How much damage they deal, how much damage they can take, and how much mobility they can have, right? And generally, if a character fulfills 2 of these criteria, they're good, okay? So, for example, nano boosting a Mercy is kind of stupid because she has no mobility, no tankiness, and no damage, okay? So pretty much the dumbest thing imaginable. If she has her ultimate, then maybe you can nano boost her. It would still be really stupid, but maybe she could get some stuff done. Okay. If you nano boost a Genji without Blade, that's also not going to be that great because he has the mobility, but he doesn't really have a lot of tankiness, and a Genji outside of his Blade doesn't really have consistent enough damage to warrant a nano boost either. Okay. If we take a low energy Zarya, she has the tankiness, but she doesn't have the damage and she doesn't have the mobility. But if the Zarya is high energy, then she has the tankiness and the damage output. She just doesn't have the mobility. So as long as someone fulfills 2 of these things, you're Gucci. Now the problem with Soldier is that he doesn't really have the greatest mobility, and he doesn't really have the greatest tankiness either. And that's a problem, because without either of these 2 things, even if he deals a bunch of damage, it's actually going to be super, super hard for him to deal that damage. All the enemies need to do, if you nano boost him when he shoots stuff, is run around a wall. Yeah. Okay. or hold up a shield or whatever. So it's going to be very, very easy to play around it, right? Whereas if you nano boost something like a Tracer, for example, sure, she doesn't really have the tankiness, but at least she can get to enemies and shoot them instead of just shooting at a Reinhardt shield all of the time. So in this case, if you play with the D.Va, you should probably prioritize nano boosting the D.Va over the Soldier, because she has good mobility, she has good tankiness, and honestly, as of late, her damage output is kind of insane as well. So yeah, D.Va would probably be the higher priority nano boost target. But okay, so that's just kind of the theory. Now we can actually look at gameplay, I believe. Okay, that's good. Okay, you're standing a little bit far to the left. You always want to. So okay, let me make a drawing. Okay, so let's say your team is standing over here. Okay, so these are your teammates. The enemies are standing over here, and they're trying to dive. Okay, and your spawn is I don't know. Your spawn is over here, for example. Okay, ideally as Ana, you always want to put yourself on this, like on the side of your team that's facing towards your spawn, because if you stand on the other side, then it's going to be very hard to return to your spawn when the enemy team has already engaged into your team. Okay. So in this case, when the enemies engage, okay, the enemies are actually like in your escape route, right? And that's kind of problematic, because if you would want to escape right now, you would have to run straight past this D.Va. So it's much better to stand a little closer, where like your Soldier has a really good position right now, because your Soldier is standing in that room, and in case this situation gets a little bit too spicy, all he has to do is walk backwards. Okay. So yeah, if you win this fight, it's going to be fine, but the problem is you're going to have a very hard time disengaging. Okay. But you do eventually make it back here. The nade was really fat, so that's good. Okay, that's fine. Okay, you probably just want to reset. Okay, you're currently putting way too much attention on this Tracer.
Okay.
Like if a Tracer, because okay, here's the thing, you can't really do much against this. Like sure, maybe you can hit like a lucky sleep dart or anything, but I wouldn't really focus too much on it. It would have been much better if you would have used that time to go back to the high ground where the Soldier is, just to reset. Because what you don't want to do is, like, what this Tracer wants to do right now is she wants to stop you guys from resetting. So that when her teammates respawn, all they have to do is just run onto the point, because no one has taken any high ground, right? So do not get distracted by Tracers like this. Like, just stack with your team. Like, right now you guys are in such a garbage position, and your Soldier was completely on his own, which arguably wasn't really the smartest choice either, but he was trying to take the high ground, he was trying to reset, while you, Lucio, and D.Va were getting distracted by a Tracer doing stuff. Okay. Now, this position here is decent, because you have an easy escape route, you can always fall to the back. You're just a little bit exposed, though, because if anyone tries to come... Red is such a bad color, let me fix that. If someone is trying to come from the left side, you won't really have anywhere to hide behind. So that's one of the things you can consider, but you're playing with your Lucio, so you're fine. This is a good nano boost, by the way. Again, as mentioned earlier, like, nano boosting D.Va is pretty much always a good thing. Okay. So yeah, this is what I meant. Like, this walk that you do right here after you get hacked, like, you're very exposed right now.
Yeah.
Right? There's like no corner that you can just run around, so by the time you run around this corner, you survived. Okay? But that wasn't a guarantee, I guess. Okay. So yeah, your position here is completely fine. There's not really much to say about it. Nice shots. It's good. Okay, so for some reason, the enemies didn't manage to close out that fight. But again, now you just need to reset. Look where your Soldier is going and follow him, and you'll be fine. Okay. So right now, since the rest of your team isn't here, like, you can stay up here, you just need to be careful. Okay. So you just go away immediately because you're scared of the dive, and you kind of leave your Soldier alone again.
Yeah.
Okay. In this situation, it is actually more risky to transfer from the high ground, because as soon as you drop right here, right now you're in a super diveable position. Okay?
Yeah.
Whereas while you were on the high ground, at least the soldier could have tried to drop a healing field for you. Like, Ana and soldier, if you're playing next to a soldier, you don't have to be scared of getting dove. Like, they dive you, you throw your nade, and the biotic field is like a mini transcendence if you are naded. Like, it heals you so much. So, either you would have disengaged by running through this, like, back through this room, or you would have just stayed up here with the soldier and tried to bait them. But do not just, like, drop right down on the street, because you're just giving them an opener to punish you. Now, granted, the Winston already used his jump, because honestly, like, you can see, the D.Va actually already tries to dive towards you. It's just that the Winston used his jump a little earlier for some reason. I have no idea where he used his jump here. Probably should have just waited, so he can't punish you. But if he had his jump, you would probably be dead now. But it doesn't really matter, because your soldier is kind of going on a journey right now, which is pretty negative. That's a really, really good sleep dart. Okay, yeah. But you guys just didn't really have any good setup there. Like, 3 people were playing on the point. You were dropping down on the street, which means the soldier was completely on his own. And that's problematic, because you just didn't have a lot of damage output. And especially against the Winston, it's just really important that you burn the Winston. Because once the Winston gets slow and he needs to disengage, the rest of the team usually follows. Okay, that nade was fine. Free ult charge, not much to say. Okay, this is pretty important. What kind of ultimates you have? Okay, so what you want to do is you kind of want to get a flow with your ultimates. So if you guys have 6 ultimates, you don't really want to force using your own ultimate, because you're going to end up using all 6 of them, and then, you know, the enemies are just going to play it dry. They're not going to use any ultimates, and then in the next push you're going to get punished. So in this case, you don't have your ultimate, so it doesn't really matter, but it's still always really useful to just see what your teammates have, because you can play around it, right? So in this case, you know, your soldier as visor, literally all you have to do is just, you know, ideally pocket him. And, you know, worst case scenario, he is on high ground, he uses his tech visor, but he ends up getting greedy. He drops down from the high ground, and you'll have to pocket him. So it's important that you, like, right now, you really just, whatever the soldier does, you'll be there to, you know, protect him somehow. Okay. But yeah, this positioning here is, like, completely fine. There's really nothing to say about it. You guys are completely grouped. Don't die here. Okay, your Lucio is feeding. That's unfortunate. Okay. Just try to make it out of here alive right now. Like, you're overstaying way too hard.
Yeah,
as soon as you kill this tracer, you just get out. Because, like, as soon as you're, like, Lucio really should not die to a D.Va bomb like that. Now, granted, you might have been able to use your nade a bit more effectively, because you saw that their Winston is coming in, so maybe you could have tried throwing a nade there. But yeah, I don't think it would have made that big of a difference here. Lucio was just kind of doing weird stuff. I don't know. Happens. Doesn't really matter. You guys didn't really use any ultimates that fight. Like, that's kind of another important thing. It's like, losing a fight is not always a bad thing. Like, if they have to use a bunch of ultimates and you guys pretty much play dry, then it's almost going to be a trade, pretty much. Right?
Yeah.
But if you have a lot of ultimates and you don't use them and you lose a fight, then that's going to be bad. Or if you have a few ultimates and you use them, then it's going to be bad, okay? So pretty much, if, like, a lost fight is only bad if you lose it without getting any ult charge out of it, or if you lose it and you actually ended up using ultimates for it. But as long as you get ult charge out of a fight, it's, like, not going to be a loss, technically, because you're still gaining something out of it. And then you can just do the same thing to them in the next fight. Also, you really shouldn't stand down here on card.
No, I'm gonna move.
Okay, but it's fine, you're rotating. Usually what you want to do here in order to get on the high ground faster is... You usually just want to walk up here.
Okay.
That's generally the fastest route to the high ground, and you can save some time. Okay. Okay, press tab. I need to see ultimates, please. Also, this is another thing. So this isn't specific to the bot. This is just a general thing that I want to mention. As Ana, you're kind of the tank healer almost. And
Yeah.
One thing that a lot of players do for some reason, I don't know if you do or not, but it's better safe than sorry, is they don't actually take armor into account. Okay? So what they end up doing is, let's say they have two teammates in front of them. They have a low HP, soldier, for example, or tracer or whatever, and a low HP diva. And what they end up doing is that they heal the diva to like 400 HP, and then they immediately start healing the whoever else it is. But whenever you're healing a tank, you really, really want to make sure that you heal them up all the way to full HP, because as long as they're in armor, it's going to be much, much easier for you to like keep on healing. But if you only heal them up a little bit and then you heal someone else, you're going to struggle. So whenever someone has armor, like, make sure that you heal them up all the way so that they keep their armor. Otherwise, it's going to be impossible for you to heal like all of the enemy damage away. Also, that nade was I really wouldn't risk throwing nades like this.
Yeah.
Because you can't really guarantee that your teammates are going to be able to follow up on it. And a good team, like right now, would say, they would call Ana no nade. They would push in and they would dive you like immediately.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're just giving them an opener, which you don't really want to. Not only that, but you're playing on defense. And right now, you don't really need to force a play anyways. Like, you don't really have to engage right now. Okay? Like, your team comp is kind of garbage. Okay? You only have like a diva as a solo tank, which means that if the diva would try to run into your nade to follow up on it, she's probably going to feed. So what you want to do with this comp instead is, because you're playing a Hans or you're playing Soldier, you're playing like very stationary characters that benefit from good positioning, you really just like let them waste their time. Like right now, the enemy team is doing absolutely nothing. And they're on attack, so they're playing against the clock. So it's much better to just chill, since you have your nano boost anyway, so you don't even need the ult charge. And the threat of having your nade is usually worth much more than like actually using your nade.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Your sleep darts are really, really good though, so that's nice. Oof.
Yeah, about the team comp. Do you think Ana's like an appropriate pick here?
Ana is
Considering we
fine.
only have one tank.
Ana is fine. You could probably get away. Honestly, no, Ana is fine. Usually Moira would be like a bit of a safer pick, because since you don't have a Winston, you are much more vulnerable to dives because you don't really have anyone except D.Va that can counter dive. So Moira would probably be a little bit safer. Or you could have the argument of you play triple DPS, so Zenyatta would probably be really good.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I was sort of thinking.
Like, Zenyatta would be a good idea. I would just be worried. Like, playing Zenyatta without a pre-made Lucio is kind of hard. So you could play Lucio, but it would be way, way harder than Ana.
Yeah.
So it's up to you if you want to take that risk. I would say that, honestly, like, Ana is completely fine here. I don't really think you need a Zenyatta. Like, theoretically, it would be better, but the risk of, you not getting any peeling and dying would just be a little bit, too high.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, this is fine. They're kind of AFK, so that's good. So you can just relax. Okay, this is important. You don't really have a lot of ultimates. Whenever your team doesn't have a lot of ultimates, you just want to kite as much as possible. Okay, if the enemy is engaged right now, you don't really want to like force the fight. You guys just want to disengage and you want to stall the fight. Right? You just want to stretch the fight as long as possible, because the longer the fight, the more ultimates you're going to get. So hopefully, as the fight goes on, your Tracer is going to maybe get another pulse, maybe the Hans is going to get a dragon, and that can help you win the fight. So if you don't have a lot of ultimates, you really just want to kite fights unless you get a really good opportunity. And right here again, this nade was kind of problematic because they know that you guys don't have nano visor. So they know that you guys are pretty weak right now. And now you also used your nade, so they are probably in a really, really, really good position right now to just, force an engagement. Okay, this is kind of... Okay, you're kind of... you're being a little awkward here. Because, like, you get shot by the Hanzo, and then you're like, oh, wait, what the fuck? Like, I need to, like, go behind cover, and then you like use this thing as cover, but it doesn't really work. This looks so weird. Okay, that's great. Okay. So yeah, this is fine. Again, just keep everyone alive and wait until they feed. This, for example, would actually be a really, really good nade opportunity. Like, I know that you're scared of the D.Va eating it, but the only other opportunity that you had was the Winston down there. Okay. Yeah. So you should have either naded the Winston or right here, just like throw your nade into all of them back there. Okay. What you definitely shouldn't have done is just jump off the high ground onto the card. Like, there's always an argument for dying on card, but since you don't really have your ultimate here, and the enemies can stagger you, it's probably best to just, like, go out, right? Okay. Like, you always want to try to be the last one to die in a team fight, because that way you're going to get the most ult charge out of it. Okay, but yeah, so right there, you guys just had to kite, your Tracer was kind of feeding. You didn't really get a good nade off, which is unfortunate, because if you guys had ultimates, you probably could have been able to turn that fight around, because their engage was kind of sloppy. Like, their monkey was completely on his own, while their D.Va was doing weird stuff.
Okay.
Okay, now they're using 1 billion ultimates again. That needed to land. Also, I'm not sure if that nano boost was really a great idea.
Yeah, okay. It ended up being a really bad idea because we C9.
Okay, what I would have done here is, so you're scared of the D.Va bomb. Like, at this moment, I honestly wouldn't even commit any ultimates anymore. Like, at this point, there's no reason for you to, like, really commit anything. I mean, I guess you got the enemy Lucius beat out, which was fine, but still, I don't think it's really worth it. Also, why are you 1v1ing this McCree? You do know, they already have the checkpoint, right?
Yeah, I know. I mean, I was just trying to die, I guess.
You could have just ran away instead of dying. Like, look, your team is already running out of spawn, and you're still respawning. Yeah. Like, you don't always have to die on card. But okay. Again, you're forcing these nades like really hard. Generally, the closer range a nade is, the more successful it's going to turn out to be. And going for these long range nades, like who is going to follow up on that? You still don't have a monkey. Okay, like your team comp right now is garbage. Honestly, it's really bad. Like, just based on team comp, like, honestly, team comp alone is probably the reason why you guys are losing this right here. Your team comp is atrocious. But especially if you play a team comp like this, you can't just go for, like, super long range nades. You need to go for very, very safe nades and make sure that if you land them, people can follow up on it. Okay, that's a good nade. Oof, oof, oof. Okay, so here we go into, like, the escape route thing again, because you're standing, like, away from your spawn. So what the enemy monkey does in the end is he can just walk right here, and he can essentially cut you off from running towards your spawn. And we don't really want that. So in this case, standing on this left corner would have been more safer. Like, I know you were afraid of the High Noon and, like, the Hanzo and everything, but just taking full cover, like, always, like, if you're scared, just run towards your spawn. Like, make that an instinct, pretty much. But okay, I don't think there's really much more you can do here, to be honest. Like, at this point, honestly, I would say that, like the main problem is about the pick right now is you're just doing a lot of overhealing. Okay. Like, the main reason you would pick Ana is if you have a bunch of tanks that need healing. But Ana is in a very weird spot right now, because if you need a lot of healing, you would pick Moira. Yeah. If you don't need a lot of healing, you would pick Zen. So that's why Ana is kind of in this weird spot right now, where it's probably best. Now at this point, I would say that Zenyatta would honestly just be the stronger pick, because okay. Okay, so let me make a chart. Let me try to make a chart. So, this is how much healing you need. Okay.
Mhm.
And this is how much damage you deal. Okay. And this is how much healing you actually do. Okay. So it would be much, much better if you would remove that healing by swapping to Zen and turn that into damage. Okay. So that you would only heal as much as you have to heal, but your overall damage output would be much, much higher. Okay. So you're essentially picking a character, but you can't even really use her to her fullest potential because most of the people just, like, you just don't have enough HP. Like, sure, now one of your teammates switched to Roadhog, but to be really honest, like, Roadhog is not really a tank that needs healing.
Yeah.
Okay, like, Zenyatta can keep this team comp alive, like, no problem.
Okay.
So yeah, probably should have switched to Zenyatta, probably should have wasted nades less, probably should have stopped jumping off of high ground. Rest was, fine, pretty much. Also, who are you duo queuing with?
My teammate.
Your 3.9k teammate?
Well, he's actually 4.1.
Monkass. Is this a Smurf then?
No, it's his main. We both. Oh, mine is a Smurf, but that's his main. And we've been both dropping to Masters and then climbed back to 4.1. So.
Well, hopefully you'll be able to get out of that slump pretty soon because it's not looking too spicy. But okay, I believe. I believe. Okay, so you're playing Zen now. Let me check the team comp. It would be hilarious if Zen would actually not be the right pick here. Okay, press tab. I believe.
I was AFK.
Yeah, we're checking Twitter or something. Okay. This team comp is fine. You don't have a Lucio, which means you just need to play like really safe. Honestly. Yeah. In this team comp, so you have, I think that's a Tracer, right?
Yeah.
I think that's a Tracer. Okay. So
like
your number one priority, your number one would be orbing the Tracer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I shouldn't. Let's just do it. So number one is Tracer. Who's number two?
Monkey.
Monkey.
Or Diva?
Okay, why Monkey or Diva?
Let's go with Monkey.
Okay, why Monkey?
Because once he uses his bubble, then he doesn't have any other sort of defense. While Diva has Matrix.
Okay, again, what is one of the advantages of Zenyatta's Harmony orbs over Moira's healing?
It's long range.
That, and more importantly, it heals immediately. Okay. If you have your orb on someone and they take damage, that damage gets immediately healed back up. There's no reaction time involved. Okay. But if someone goes low HP, the Moira needs to actively go to them and heal them. Okay? So you want to put your Harmony orb on targets where you want to like heal them back up quickly. So Tracer you want to heal back up quickly because she only has 150 HP, which means that, she's very vulnerable to burst. Okay? So you need to make sure that you have your orb on her because that's the only way you can heal her immediately as soon as she takes damage. Because, a Tracer can die in like half a second, and by that time, the Moira just won't be able to react fast enough. And the next thing is with Winston and Diva. So the main reason why you want to prioritize the Winston over the Diva is, again, because of his armor. So Diva has 200 armor, and Winston only has 100. Okay?
Right, yeah.
Which means that, by the time the Moira realizes the Winston is taking damage, he already lost his armor, which means he's not going to take half damage anymore, he's going to take full damage against most targets, and it's going to be impossible for the Moira to counter heal it. Whereas with the Diva, she has a lot more time to react to that. And also, obviously, the Winston is also going to, engage first, so that's going to be good. Next priority, so Winston is number 2. Next priority after that would probably be the D.Va, again, just to keep her armor intact. Okay. Number 4 would be Soldier, because he has his... Actually, no, that's not true. The next priority would be... No, it's... Okay, never mind. I'm getting numbers wrong. I'm stupid. Okay, yeah, so number 4 would be Soldier, because he has self-healing, right? Not as much as Moira, but he does have a bit of self-healing and he has mobility. And then the absolute last target you want to Harmony Orb, which means like pretty much never, would be the Moira, because she can heal herself. She has arguably the strongest escape in the entire game, so you don't really want to go for her. Okay, so in this case, really just keep your orb either on the Monkey or on the Tracer, and you're going to be a good Zenyatta. And on the other hand, you want to your discard orb priority is actually the exact same, just for the enemy team. Okay, so you always want to discard orb the targets that is you always want to discard orb the targets that are low HP, that are very easy to burst. So Winston, Tracer, those are like the main targets, really.
Yeah.
Okay.
What about like if you have a Tracer and a Genji?
You want to discard Harmony Orb the Genji for multiple reasons. So first of all, Tracer has recall, which means that if she takes damage, worst case she can recall and she can heal herself. Okay, That's reason number 1. Reason number 2 is Tracer has blinks, which means that she can just go to health packs a lot quicker. Okay. And number 3, a Tracer is usually trying to avoid enemy sightlines. So a good Tracer is usually going to take less damage in the first place. Okay. On the other hand, the Genji doesn't have recall. His deflect doesn't heal him. Okay. Genji's dash is also not enough to reliably use health packs in the middle of the fight. Right? He doesn't want to waste his dash just to go to a health pack. He's going to get chased. And number 3, a Genji usually plays a lot more with his team, because a Genji, okay, so you still want to try to like get a good angle of attack. You don't just want to stand like right in your front line. You kind of want to find a little side angle to attack from, but you don't want to go for hard flanks like a Tracer. You don't really want to be directly behind the enemy team on your own, because again, you're going to probably die. Okay? And obviously, the closer you are to your team, the higher the chances that random spam is going to hit you. And we don't really want the Genji to get, hit by random spam. So in that case, yes, 100%, you would try to Harmony Orb the Genji over the Tracer. Okay, good. Okay, so this is exactly what we don't want to happen. Okay. At the start of the game, you put your discard up on the Soldier. This Soldier really, really doesn't need it. Okay, one of the biggest things, or like one of the best ways to like punish bad dive teams, is by poking their Winston 24/7. Because the only time a Winston can reliably engage is if he is full HP, including armor, and he has his leap and his bubble. Right, so all you need to do is you just need to constantly shoot the Winston, because if the Winston is low HP and he engages, you can just burn through him. Okay, so by Harmony Orbing him and keeping his armor up, you're healing essentially twice as much as you normally would, because you're healing up HP that's only going to go down, half as fast essentially. Okay, that's kind of a weird explanation. So yeah, right here you want to keep your Harmony on the Winston, so that even if he takes poke, okay, you can just like heal that back up very, very easily, and you pretty much do double healing on armor, like in terms of value alone, because armor is worth twice as much as HP is. But the problem is, he's taking a lot of poke. So by the time you put your Harmony Orb on him, his armor is already gone. And if his armor is gone, he's just going to take more damage, which means it's going to be even harder for you to heal him back up. Okay? But now you have it on him, which is good. And you swapped it to the D.Va. Again, you don't want to put it on the D.Va, because again, your Moira is going to take care of the D.Va. You want to just keep your orb on the Winston. And regarding Harmony Orbs, you always want to try to keep your orb on one target. You really don't want to swap your orbs around too much, because if you do that, then they become unreliable. Right? So if you put your orb on the Winston, your Winston is going to think, nice, I have a Harmony Orb, I can play aggressively. But if you just switch it every 3 seconds, then the Winston is going to be like, okay, sure, I have Harmony Orb, but he's just going to switch it to someone else, so I need to play more passively. Okay. So you really want to just stick it on one target. So right here, probably shouldn't have swapped it to the D.Va in the first place. Because this is what happens if he doesn't get healing. And at this point, this team fight is like not looking good. If the enemy team is any good, they are going to win this team fight because your monkey is dead. Okay. So it's honestly like already pretty sick that you guys are getting like ticks, but yeah, there's no way you're going to get this. And now again, look at what kind of position you're standing in.
Yeah, away from the spawn.
There's no way in hell you're going to make it back there. Absolutely no way you're going to make it back there. So, yeah, you should probably try to just jump off the map at this point, because there's no way you're going to make it back. And right now you're just feeding Moira a bunch of ult charge.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so yeah, right there, not enough pocketing on the Winston, and slightly out of position, so that you kind of were stuck behind them. And the problem is they also kind of staggered you. Like, look, your teammates in the front are already regrouping, and you're just like back here, walking back very slowly. It's not really doing much. But okay, you put your orb on the Winston. That's really, really, really good. Okay, just make sure that you keep it on him. Okay, that Riptire kind of screwed you over, and this Moira ulted way too late. Okay, again, do you see how much you're switching your orbs?
Yeah.
Like, it's on someone over there, and then you put it on the soldier, and then like just keep it on like one target. And in this case, after your Winston has died, you want to keep your orb on either the Tracer or the D.Va. And considering the Tracer was somewhere behind the enemy team and she's going to break line of sight anyways, D.Va would have probably been a good choice there.
Yeah.
Okay. That was a really nice pick. Okay, good. Your orb is on the Winston. He's doing aggressive stuff. Okay, but look, like, he's not getting punished for it because of his armor. Like, he can jump in here. Like, he's barely taking any damage against this Orisa because Orisa doesn't deal, like, burst damage. She deals very consistent damage, so your Harmony Orb is super strong. Okay. Mm-hmm. So right there again, you switch it to the Tracer, which is fine, but in dive comp really prioritize just like the main times where you want to Harmony Orb the Tracer is if she is fighting, if she's currently in a duel, mainly against another Tracer. But if the Tracer is just roaming around, let the Tracer use health packs. Let her use her recall. And make sure that you keep... Because if the Tracer goes out of the fight, whatever, she can just blink back in. But if the Winston doesn't have recall. Winston can't always re-engage whenever he wants. Okay? But okay, you're actually going to win this fight. Probably because of your McCree pick, to be honest. Like, that pick was really, really good. Okay.
That's a generous right there.
That was quite the adventure. Okay. This was very, very, like, out in... Why did you have to stand this far out in the open in order to shoot him?
Yeah, okay.
You probably could have stood a little bit closer to the left so that this wall would cover up this soldier and he couldn't see you.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's just a minor thing. Okay, your Winston is feeding on so many levels right now. Okay, there we go.
Oh my god, please save me, please save me.
Okay. So right there, this soldier, he was going back anyways. Which means that he can get card healing, he can get Moira healing. Again, your Winston doesn't have any armor. So giving Winston his armor here, like, it wouldn't have taken that much longer to give him his armor. That would have been higher priority. Okay, but luckily in this case it's flipped. In this case the Moira heals him, but you should never just assume that one of your teammates is going to heal. And right now, look what your Winston is doing. He's going in and he doesn't have any armor. So if he's taking damage right now, he is going to fucking feel it. Do you see how quickly he died?
Yeah.
Now imagine if he had his armor, then this Orisa would not have really done anything to him. Okay? And that means you would have had twice as much time to heal him before he died, so you would have healed twice as much overall. Okay? So right now you have your orb on...
bot play.
Now you have your orb on the Moira. Again, Moira has so much self-healing. So that's not really a high priority. In that case, you would just keep it either on the Diva or on the Tracer.
Watch this.
Oh, Jesus.
I
Monka
realized-
S. Okay. Who shot you? confused.
Tracer and Sombra.
Oh, Sombra! Okay, I'm so used to, like, when these small things appear that's a Tracer, but I forgot that Sombra also has, like, that damage. Okay. Yeah, so that was a little bit, I mean, there's really no way to say it. Like, honestly, that was kind of a throw.
that was a bronze play.
Yeah, that was a big brain. Okay. So right now, standing on the cart and like walking around the cart is actually probably the safest spot for you to be in, because you get passive card healing, and also you get the thingamajig. What do you call it? You can use it as cover in case someone wants to EMP or something. And using the cart is also like fighting around the cart on offense is also really important because it heals you, right? So if a Winston and a Diva are fighting around the card, they are getting passive healing from the card, they're going to get healed by you, they're going to get healed by the Moira, which means that they're going to keep their armor for a very long time. Okay? So as long as you have armor, think like in terms of value, just think of it as any healing is being doubled in most cases. So that's why it's also super important to like try to fight around the card whenever possible. But yeah, right there. Is there anything you could have done for the soldier? I don't think so. Okay, no, he was behind the thing. There's nothing really you could have done for him. That's fine. Okay. So right here, same thing. So when a Tracer jumps you, it may seem a little counterintuitive, but you actually want to walk towards the Winston bubble and the payload.
Yeah.
Okay, because then you can juke around the bubble, and a Tracer hates it when someone gets healed. Like, if you ever play Tracer, if someone gets healed, like even a Harmony Orb, it becomes almost impossible to kill them. Okay.
I don't know why I do it. I almost do it every time. Like when there's a Tracer on me, I go backwards instead of
don't go backwards. It's like an MMO. If you ever played like WoW or something, if you pull aggro, always go to your tanks.
Yeah.
Okay, but it's winnable, I believe. Okay, downtime is something that you should not have in GM. Come on. Like, there literally should never be a second in the entire game where you have no orbs, and you aren't even charging up your right click. Like, that should never happen. Okay? Because, like, there's a Sombra. Wouldn't it be great if we had a fully charged right click to shoot into her?
Yeah.
It's like better safe than sorry. Because she was overstaying really hard. You could have probably killed her. And killing her would have been really, really good for... Wow. How did she die here? Okay, so that was a nice pick. I don't know, she just stood still and got destroyed, which is unfortunate. But yeah, so at this point, this team fight is kind of free. All you really have to do is, again, just bubble your Winston. It's good. Okay, so this position here is relatively safe. Again, we don't keep it on the Winston, okay? Look, you shouldn't, like, this shouldn't happen, okay? Like, your Winston shouldn't even lose his armor in the first place.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, on the other hand, if the Winston is using his ultimate, then you want to switch to the Diva. The Diva died too fast here, so, like, there's no way that you could have reacted to this. But maybe if we wouldn't have used a certain ultimate earlier, we could have actually kept the Diva from dying here. Just say. Okay? Just saying that could have been pretty helpful. Okay, and also, like, you are playing very split from your team. This would be a good position for, like, Soldier, because Soldier is relatively self-sufficient. But if you're playing Zenyatta, standing on the high ground alone is kind of risky. So right now, right there, you managed to win your duels, but you really don't want to rely on that.
Yeah.
But at least you have a trance again. Feels good, man. Okay, just fish for right clicks. And you'll be good. Okay, we're probably going to finish watching this round and then we're gonna start concluding.
Okay.
Okay, this is fine. Aim a little higher, my dude. Go for headshots. With right click, it's almost never worth it to go for body shots. But I mean, so far so good. Monkey's engaging and you have your orb on him. Here, look at this, okay? Look at the bottom right. Look at Winston's HP, okay?
Mm.
Do you see how he just like stays in his armor? Like that's exactly what you want.
Holy fuck.
Because that way the Winston is just going to stay alive very long. Now right here you got absolutely fucked by the Sombra. Let me check real quick. Oof, okay. Maybe you could have reacted to it? Actually, you probably 100% could have reacted to it because you saw her translocator flying in right here.
Yeah.
Now, to be honest, it is kind of a stretch because reacting to it here is like very, very hard. Like you would take a bunch of like you would need to be a god in order to react to this. So I can't really blame you for it, to be honest.
When I played this game, I initially thought it was just a bait, like.
Oh well, okay, but
boss
here's
my
the thing,
trance.
right? It's a good bait because if you don't get bait, like it forces you into a dilemma. If you like, there's no right choice. So in a situation like this, honestly, it's better to get baited than to die, right? Because if you waste your trance, there's still a chance of you winning the team fight. But if you die, then everyone around you is going to like just hard feed. Oof. Oof, 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 oof. You got destroyed here. Probably not a good idea to run in like this because if we go back here, you have a Moira, you have a Tracer, and you have a Mini Diva.
Yeah.
Nothing you can do here. Honestly, I wouldn't even heal them. I would just like either they get out or they die.
Okay. Yeah.
Because you're poking here, like you're gonna have to wait for the Diva to respawn anyways. So there was no point in like peeking that for forward. Because if you would have gotten a pick, that wouldn't mean anything because you aren't fully regrouped. Okay. You already have your ultimate, so any ult charge you would get also doesn't mean anything. But by getting picked here, during like never get picked while regrouping. Never. It's really I mean you shouldn't get picked in general, but getting picked while regrouping is like an extra unlucker. But okay, now you don't have a Winston or okay, your team comp sucks. Your team comp is actually so garbage right now. Okay. Now in this case, you want to prioritize Harmony orbing who?
Tracer or Diva.
Tracer or Diva, right? So Roadhog doesn't have any armor. He doesn't like your Harmony orb is not going to really do much on him.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a nice dodge. Okay, so again, right here. Okay, you don't want this. Okay, it should never be like this. Okay. Because if you're a Moira, okay, like why did she ult? The only logical reason would be because the Diva is frontlining. Her Coalescence isn't going to hit the soldier anyway, so the only logical reason why she would go ahead and use her ultimate here is to pocket the Diva.
Yeah.
And ideally the Diva wouldn't need any pocketing if... So now you use like both support ults, and like I guess it's fine because it's the last push. But still, you know, a mistake is a mistake, and we want to avoid mistakes because they're no Gucci. Okay, but yeah, I think you got this checkpoint. Like, okay, there we go. Okay, they're just stalling. Okay. Do you have any questions? Also, in case you're wondering why we aren't finishing this, I have another session in like 10 minutes because everything is like pushed back, so that's why.
Yeah.
Okay.
About trans, like because they didn't have like Genji or anything, so if a team doesn't have basically a really strong offensive ult, is it like better to use it proactively than reactively?
No, usually you would still use it reactively. You just use it when one of your tanks gets low.
Okay.
So if the enemies don't have a big ultimate, and you see your Winston is engaging, but your Winston doesn't have his bubble, like his bubble gets destroyed, and he doesn't have any armor anymore, and you want to keep the team fight going, then you would use your trance in order to keep him alive. right? So you would just use it like you would use it pretty much the same way you would use Mora's Coalescence, pretty much.
Okay.
Okay. Because Mora's Coalescence can't really counter ultimates either, but you just use it to like keep people alive who overextend or are caught out of position.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. More questions. Maybe like a Zen. Like is it like does it make sense to like basically like hide before the team fight and then like when your team
for the
heals?
EMP, right?
Yeah.
That's usually what you do. You mainly do that with Lucio, usually, because you want to like you don't want to beat and then the Sombra hacks it away. You can do it with Zenyatta as well, but only if you're like 100% sure that's their plan.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Like if usually you do that like not even if you anticipate it. Usually you do that if you bait them, right? So if you're, for example, holding their spawn, okay, then you can be like, okay, we're gonna hold their spawn. We know they have EMP. We're all going to stack up, so they're probably going to EMP us, and then I can just beat you guys, and then we can win the fight, right? So that's something that you could do. But other than that, like it's very situational. Like you need to learn that over time. It's like based on pure experience.
Okay. Also regarding the same thing, like if for think of like the first fight in a team fight, let's say on like King of the Hill, is it or does it make sense to basically have your orb on, let's say, Monkey, and then sort of like hide or play passive and then come out when the enemy team has like
no, because if you hide, you're not really going to be dealing any damage. And as I showed you earlier with like the graph thingy that I drew, one of the main reasons you would pick Zenyatta is because he has higher damage output than Ana, for example.
Okay. So hiding is not like good.
Hiding isn't really the great thing, because if the enemies force you to hide, then they're kind of doing their job. Like they're essentially fighting a 6v5 at that point, and your orb is like not enough. Like you need to dish out damage as well.
Okay, yeah.
Anything
I
else?
think that, well, not now.
Okay, well, if you have any questions, all you really need to do
clear.
is just message me on Discord, and I'll
Yeah.
get back to you.